Collector boosters can be some of the most confusing packs to open, since every slot in the pack contains a different list of cards within it, and those lists change with every set that comes out. So in today's video, we are going to be breaking down exactly what's in a collector booster for Murders at Karlov Manor. Let's jump right into this. The first card of every pack will be a foil double-sided token. This is true of every collector booster we've ever seen, although in these it will always just be a traditional foil. You will not get any fancy surge foilings or any other alternate foil treatments. So the next slot is a traditional foil full art land. So just like the token, this will always be a normal foiling, but this one will be a full art basic. You will never get the non-full arts in this slot, and they will always be one of the 5 impossible lands from Murders at Karlov Manor. Following that up, you will get 4 traditional foil commons followed by 3 traditional foil uncommons. So these will always be standard frames and will just be traditional foil common and uncommons from the main set. The next slot gets a little bit more complicated. We get a non-foil showcase common or uncommon. So showcase is what they call cards that have an alternate treatment or border or frame, and there are 2 of them that you will see at common and uncommon in Murders at Karlov Manor. There is the showcase magnifying glass frame, which can be found on the story spotlight cards from the set, and there are the dossier frames, which can be found on the legendary creatures of the set. For this slot in particular, remember this will always be non-foil, and it'll be a common or uncommon in one of those 2 treatments. Following that up is the exact same thing, but this time in traditional foil. So it'll always be a common or uncommon and always in one of the 2 frames. But this time you'll get a foil version. Following that up, you will get a traditional foil rare or mythic. This will be a normal framed card, just a rare mythic from the set in traditional foil. This brings our rare count up to 1. Next up, you'll get another rare. This time it will be non-foil, but extended art from the main set. To clarify the meaning, extended art are the versions of cards where it's the same art as the normal card, but stretched to the edges. This is different than borderless, which has different art than the main card, and it goes to all of the sides around it, like on Kaya here. Either way, it will be non-foil and extended art and from the main set. Since this is always rare, this raises the number of rares in the pack by 1. The next slot is another extended art rare or mythic, this time from the Murders at Karlov Manor Commander Precons. This will be one of the mechanically unique cards from the Commander Precons from the set, whether that be a rare or mythic in extended art. If it's a mythic, there is a chance that it comes in foil as well, but since this is always a rare or higher, that raises the number of rares in the pack by 1. Now this next slot is where things get really complicated. We have the non-foil booster fun rare or mythic rare. If you're not sure what that means, that basically means it can be a ton of different things. So let's list off what it can be. First off, it can be a showcase magnified frame, similar to what we talked about with the commons and uncommons earlier. Similarly, it can be a showcase dossier frame, similar to the commons and uncommons. It can be a Ravnica city frame, which is found on the guild leaders, or it can be a borderless treatment like on planeswalkers and the dual lands. This will most commonly be the showcase dossier frame, followed by the borderless frame, followed by the magnified frame, with the Ravnica city treatment being the rarest of the bunch. This slot in particular will always be non-foil, and it will always be a rare, so that ups the number of rares in the pack by 1. Now that was all but the very last slot of the pack, and if you thought the previous one was confusing, this one gets extra confusing with a bunch of extra card types that we haven't talked about in this video before, like special guest cards, serialized cards, and invisible ink cards. So let's jump into all of that and kind of break down what they are and give you a look at what the cards actually look like that you can pull. The main idea behind the last slot is it's very similar to the previous slot where it can be a ton of different treatments, but this time it will always be foil. Now the type of foiling can vary and what the card looks like can vary, but keep that in your mind. This slot will always be foil no matter what we're talking about here. The most common thing you'll get, and the thing that'll be in about a third of collector boosters, is a traditional foil extended art rare mythic. Again, these are the cards with the same art as the normal card, but with it stretched out to the edges, not different art. The next most common will be a traditional foil rare or mythic with the showcase dossier treatment. So these will be the legendaries of the set in this frame, but this time foil. And very specifically a traditional foil, the foiling you see on most cards, because this treatment does actually have an alternate foiling, which we'll talk about a little bit later as we get to rare cards in this slot. The next most common is a traditional foil borderless rare or mythic, so this will either be Kaya, Kellen, or one of the 10 rare dual lands from the set. These actually do have different art than their main card, and so they are a little bit more interesting to get than the extended art cards. The next most common thing you'll see is the traditional foil rare and mythic rare showcase magnified treatment. Again, these are the story spotlight with the magnifying glass style art, similar to the cards we've seen previously, but this time in traditional foil. Now here's where we get to some of the more confusing things. The next thing you can get is a showcase dossier a mythic rare with invisible ink. This is a special foiling new to Murders at Karlov Manor and exclusive to the dossier mythics. It will add extra text and drawings to your card that you can only see at off angles and supposedly under a black light. These are supposed to be the special foils of the set, similar to how Lost Caverns of Ixalan had the emblem cards and Wilds of Eldraine had the confetti foiling. But what's really interesting about this is that they are found in about 8.4% of boosters, which is a lot higher than we've seen a lot of other foiling styles, but weirdly in Japanese language boosters they only show up about 7.8% of the time, so they're a little bit rare in Japanese boosters, and the other styles are more common in those boosters, which is really weird to look at. The next most common is a traditional foil, rare or mythic, in the City of Ravnica frame. These again are the guild leaders, but this time in traditional foil. The next most common thing will be the traditional foil special guest cards. These are 10 cards that are not part of Murders at Karlov Manor or the Commander decks that are reskinned to look like they're from Ravnica and can be found in play and collector boosters. They don't change the legality of the cards that are there, and I've done a whole separate video talking about special guests that you should check out in the upper right corner. While they all have a mythic set symbol, these things range from 15-cent commons to $25 cards like Field of the Dead and Show and Tell, so the value here can really vary. The final thing you can get in the slot, and the thing that you'll find in less than 1% of boosters, is a serialized card in the City of Ravnica frame, again one of the guild leaders. This will be double rainbow foil and is the most expensive thing you can pull from the set. If you want to see my video talking about how much serialized cards are actually worth, check out the video on the upper right corner. So yeah, that's a collector booster for Murders at Karlov Manor. You are guaranteed 5 rares or mythics, but they can vary a lot in what they are. The serialized cards are the biggest thing you can get, but the invisible ink treatments are also pretty rare, along with things like special guests. If you want to see exactly what's in a play booster, check out this video here where I break down this new type of booster. And if you want to know all about the mechanics of Murders at Karlov Manor, check out this video. If neither of those are things you're interested in, check out this video that YouTube's recommending specifically for you.